Welcome back to the Better Late Than Never Club. I'm Bec.
And I'm Frost.
And tonight we're watching Wayne's World.
Wayne's World, Wayne's World, party time, excellent.
I'm guessing I'll understand that in about an hour and a half.
I haven't seen Wayne's World for a very long time. I want to say 20 years.
So that means you watched it when you were like mid-teens.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
I remember that the two actors look ridiculous, and I think one of them is Mike Myers.
Correct.
I can't remember the name.
Ding, ding, ding.
Can't remember the name of the other guy. One of them is Wayne. I think Mike Myers plays Wayne.
I couldn't tell you which one's which. I'll tell you that much for free. But what I do know, all I know about this movie, really, I don't know much. I think I can picture the two guys. There's two men, like two people that are the main actors. I've seen their image before. I especially think of them as being in a car together. That's the kind of imagery that I know. But I don't know what the plot is. I don't know their relationship. I don't know basically anything. I do think that it's Wayne and Garth.
Yep.
But that's literally the extent of what I know of characters. Everything else I know is what I've researched for the start of this ep.
Cool.
So,
yeah,
I guess I'll dive into that if you don't have anything else.
No, I mean, like I said, I watched this film 20 years ago, and it's like a bit of a cult icon. I feel like there's a few sayings like that get into the, the common lexicon.
I feel like this is a highly quotable movie, but I won't necessarily know the quotes are from this until I hear them. You know what I mean? One
of our good friends... And I'm not gonna quite get this right because it's one of those things that has been misquoted for so long. But it's like "party on, Wayne," like "party on, dude."
Okay.
So one of our good friends used to say that quite a lot, and those kinds of quotes are, rife through this film. I don't really remember what the film itself is about, but it is quite quotable.
That's what I expect, because people mention it in a referential sense, like a lot of cult classic type movies.
Yeah.
So this is from 1992, prior to my birth.
Who's the director? I'm interested to know. Is it one of our...
It's not anyone that I don't think I recognize the name.
Yeah.
Penelope Spheris.
Name does not ring a bell.
It's a lady director. Now, perhaps the most interesting thing that I learned in my research about this movie is that it is based on an SNL sketch.
Oh, really?
Or sorry, I guess, yes, based on / spawned from in the late 80s. So it is written, I misspoke. It is produced by Lorne Michaels, who is the creator of SNL.
Oh, wow.
So because obviously, it came out of his show, so he is involved in this movie as well. The director, like I said, Penelope Spheris, I looked at her filmography. I don't believe I've seen another one of her movies, but I did recognize a couple of them.
Yeah.
It looks like she's a comedy director, as this is a comedy. The two titles that I specifically recognized from her filmography were The Little Rascals.
Oh, yeah.
And The Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, yeah.
So very, very comedy-focused filmography, it would seem.
Both of those.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's interesting. I'm excited for a good comedy, hopefully. Need a good laugh.
Yeah.
Also, like you said, starring Mike Myers, the other gentleman's name is Dana Carvey.
Okay.
Which is a name that I've heard, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you anything that he's in. And of note also is that this movie is actually Mike Myers' film debut.
Oh, really?
He was in stuff, specifically he was on SNL.
Yeah.
And a couple of other, I think he may have done a couple of other TV things, but not, this was his first film, like his first feature film.
Interesting.
Which I am surprised by.
Because he's a big actor now, he's been in some big stuff.
He's I would say his star has faded slightly, but he, hit his peak with obviously Austin Powers and then Shrek being quite a big franchise, and not so much visually his face because he was just the voice, but still. But
Shrek was a big franchise.
It was huge. Yeah. I mean, they're making a Shrek 5.
Unbelievable.
Because,
5 Shrek, 5 Furious.
So that's pretty much all I gathered. There was also, it was about the 10th highest grossing film of 1992, so not a flop by any means.
But the 90s were pretty competitive for film.
But, it's clearly not, it wasn't a flop that became successful later. It had decent success in its day.
I believe there's even a sequel or two.
There is a single sequel. So Wayne's World 2, I think, is a movie.
Couldn't tell you anything about that.
No. It's an hour and a half, so it's nice and, you know, tight, which is common, I think, for comedies, right?
Yeah. It's like a tight 5, but it's a movie, so it's an hour and a half.
I mean, the fact that it came out of a handful of sketches is pretty impressive, you know, and the fact that it was successful at all. I guess that's, you know, it's got some pretty successful people behind it. Lorne Michaels is you know, kind of the grandfather of late night television, you know. He produces The Tonight Show and whatever, you know what I mean?
That's pretty interesting.
I am not surprised that he's connected and that it was successful as a result. The
one bit of trepidation I guess I have is with any film from the 90s or earlier, especially one that relies on comedy, sometimes comedy, maybe it doesn't age well. Maybe it doesn't age well.
That is a decent concern. So I'll be watching out. I'll see how
it
the
comes
2024 world views Wayne's World.
So what's this make this movie? Like
32, 33?
Yeah, 32 years old.
So yeah, it's, you know, it wouldn't be surprising if there's a little bit of off-color stuff in it, especially knowing Mike Myers and the kind of comedy that he then went on to make afterwards. Not all of that is super, you know, above board these days either.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I think Mike Myers is a talented actor. He's not my favorite comedic style all the time, but I'm excited, especially now that I know that this is his film debut, to sort of see the genesis, not necessarily of him in the comedic sense, but especially on film.
One thing I do remember is that the actor who plays the character Garth, who isn't Mike Myers,
Dana Carvey.
It does a good job. It's like a 50-50. They both
I think he was a bit more established. He was in Spinal Tap prior to this.
The band?
No, this is Spinal Tap, the movie.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a movie, right? I haven't seen it.
I think this is Spinal Tap, the movie is a parody of Spinal Tap, the band. Or is it maybe a parody of a band?
It's definitely a comedy.
I think that's where the meme Turn It Up to 11 came from.
I think so too, yeah. But what I'm saying is, so Dana Carvey had been in a couple of things prior to this, so arguably the more experienced actor film-wise.
I have fond memories of Garth as a character.
Well, I'm excited to find out why that might be. Mm-hmm. So let's dive right into Wayne's World.
First, we meet passionate rock music fans Wayne Campbell and Garth Algar, who host a public access TV show titled Wayne's World. The two go to a nightclub where Wayne falls in love with Cassandra, the lead singer of a local band. Elsewhere, producer Benjamin Kane begins plotting how to exploit their show for his own gain. Cassandra and Wayne begin dating, but Benjamin's meddling causes a rift in their relationship. Wayne and Garth are troubled by the changes Benjamin makes to their show, resulting in Wayne being fired and the breakdown of their friendship. With everything going wrong, the two friends quickly rekindle and hatch a plan to undermine Benjamin, get their show back, and secure Cassandra a record deal. With a ragtag crew of helpers, they pull off their crazy plan and get their happy ending. Here's some deeper thoughts on the matter.
The average length of hair in that movie was long.
It was long. In fact, the first sort of half of the movie, I had a lot of trouble telling apart all of the like generic rockers / metalheads.
I don't think it matters if you do or not. To be fair.
None of them had names. I think they're all like, Steve was the only guy who had a name of the three of them. Oh no, Phil had a name, but he always looked hungover, so you could always tell Phil apart.
Well, that was an experience.
I just sort of like, I was like at the start of this, I don't really remember what the plot is. And that's right, it doesn't really have one.
I mean, the very loosest of plots.
It is such a loose plot.
I can see how this was originally just an SNL sketch.
Yeah. And they've just made it long. It just
feels like an SNL sketch that goes on for too long.
It's a series of SNL sketches like stitched together with the loosest vehicle of plot.
Oof.
But I can see also why it's so quotable, because it's like Myers and the actor who plays Garth, whose name I've already forgotten.
Dana Carvey.
They are very like they've just got that thing where they're just like holding that facial expression, and it's just like awkward and stupid, and it is it's very funny. I think. Look,
it is a type of humor. I'll be honest and upfront that it's not my kind of humor.
Oh, for sure.
It's the kind of thing where I can see that it's trying to be funny and that kind of just does it for me.
I honestly think because it's trying to be funny, that kind of makes it funnier. Like, it's like they're trying to do stupid stuff and sometimes it doesn't pan out and they just keep doing it and it's silly. And I reckon that's just part of the fun.
Sure.
It doesn't take itself too seriously as well, which I think is kind of nice.
I mean, it can't.
No.
There's nothing to be taken seriously about it. I wanted to like this movie more.
Yeah, look, it didn't watch as well as I remember. It was a groove. Like, the music in it is great. There's a lot of
it really is down your alley.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
For sure.
There's great rock music basically for 90% of the film. And then the rest of it, you're just watching Garth and Wayne stick to incredibly sketchy dialogue and really, really weird facial expressions.
I mean, it's very clearly influenced by Mike Myers. Like, I think he was one of the writers, and you can see a lot of his influence. Like, a lot of the same joke setup and visual gags that happen in Austin Powers, which I'm familiar with that series. A lot of that comes through. I just feel like Austin Powers has a bit more of a through line that makes it more watchable. So like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a bit it's so choppy.
It's also very childish.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, on my like recollection of it, I was like, my memory is that they're grown men playing teenagers. And whilst that has nothing to do with the plot, that is definitely the vibe.
I mean, this gives like 15-year-olds making a movie on YouTube.
Yeah.
Type of vibe. Like, it's very, there's the polish is not there. There's so many little bits that don't make any sense and have no connection and not based in any kind of reality or anything.
But isn't that intentional?
I mean, I'm sure it is. I think that sometimes a movie can be a bit wacky and it works. This, I feel like, for me, and again, I can only speak from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you just watched it, right? You're allowed to have feelings about it. I'm not saying you're not allowed to.
It's a little bit like, I find it a little exhausting. Or not, it's just a bit like, okay, we get it.
For you, the joke dragged on too long.
They made the same joke a lot. Like, his facial expression.
Yeah.
It's like...
What do you even describe that as? Wind-stuck face? I don't know.
I don't know. It's just exaggerated, you know? It's just exaggerated expressions and... I don't know. I think I was trying to think, what are the parts that actually I enjoyed or I thought funny? I thought one of the better jokes that I enjoyed was him learning Cantonese so fast and being like, I just started, and then is like fluent, and then like, obviously the captions aren't representing what he says, and like
he's not actually speaking Cantonese. Yeah,
I think that's a funny little joke.
Yeah,
you know, because it builds, right? Like, he says like a couple of things, and it's, you know, believable that he's learned a couple of phrases, but that he's saying these ridiculously long sentences and not actually saying, you know, having
like an in-depth discussion,
right?
And
like a
understanding.
philosophical discussion. Yeah. That I thought was funny.
And you know what's interesting about that particular bit, right, is that feels like a bit straight out of an SNL sketch.
Right. And so I think there were like a couple of moments like that. I'm trying to think of any others that I really thought were good.
I think the reading on the back of the cards, like in the studio, like that kind of moment, the parts that felt like they were the funniest were things that standalone would have been great SNL sketches.
I guess. See, I didn't get anything out of the cards bit at all. You know what's going to happen. The jokes aren't even that particularly funny. Everyone's losing their minds over it, and it's just like, okay, that's where it's a bit too juvenile. They're not funny jokes. Yeah, in my opinion, they don't hit for me.
I think it's funny because it's so juvenile. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is live television. This is meant to be a big deal, and it's the most juvenile possible jokes you could make, and that's like, I don't know. It's sort of gone past trying to be funny because it's a juvenile joke into it's just ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's why I was cracking up. Not because, oh, haha, this man has no penis, what a funny joke. But the situation is absurd. It is ridiculous.
Very absurd, yeah. I'm remembering another part that made me actually laugh, which is actually quite early on, when they're at the Gasworks Club. And Wayne is approaching the stage to see Cassandra, and Stacy comes in from the side, and they're playing the
like psycho
sound. That made me laugh because that was like, because it's like, and then it fades as she gets kind of pushed away by the crowd. That made me laugh as well.
The bit that I like particularly about that is that he's obviously on like a conveyor or a roller or something. Like they're rolling him along to make it look like he's floating, right?
Right.
And as he's floating along, obviously Stacey comes in off the side, and the way he deals with it is he makes like side eye, and like his mouth just sort of downturns.
Yeah.
Like, nothing comes of it. It isn't anything.
And that I thought was funny.
Like it's just really Mike Myers physical acting in his face. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't really do much for me though. It was the timing of like the music and everything else that did it for me. I thought that, to be honest, the whole character of Garth I didn't find funny at all. Honestly, I didn't find either of them funny. I thought that Rob Lowe was funnier to me. He's the Benjamin. Because he has to like play it straight.
Yeah.
And that to me is funnier.
Somebody playing it straight.
Rather than playing like over the top and juvenile, he has these, you know, kind of like, he has to play it straight in front of these like juvenile. That's more amusing to me. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it is what it is. You know, I understand why it's quotable because it's the absurd. You know, these aren't this, and especially the exaggerated way of saying things like
party on, right. Wayne.
And that's fine. It's very quotable. It's just not rewatchable. I don't know. Yeah.
So here's what I want to know, right? Like, I don't remember when I first watched Wayne's World, but I am certain it wasn't in a cinema. So I must have like watched it, I don't know, on like...
Well, you would have only been like 7.
Well, yeah, right, when it came out.
No, 3. I'm doing my maths wrong.
Yeah. Either way, I watched Wayne's World at some point. And like I watched, like I said, about 20 years ago when I was in my teens, and I have no recollection of under what circumstances I watched it, but I definitely remember that either I must have watched it around the same time as a bunch of other people, or it was like it spread virally anyway.
It had like a resurgence.
Right. And that's what's really interesting. It might have been
picked up as like a meme, like an internet.
This is pre-internet when I watched it, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like very early days, like,
because that can happen sometimes when something kind of has a
resurgence.
Yeah, like a public interest moment, and everyone rediscovers it or discovers it for the first time.
Yeah. So I feel like it was the kind of thing that just like ripped through school like years after it came out, which is why it's really quite bizarre. Because I remember everyone was like quoting it and doing it like it was cool. I don't know. It was just that kind of juvenile humor definitely appeals to teenagers for sure. It's silly. It's ridiculous.
It is silly. I was also, I wanted to see more of the show. I know that sounds silly, but like that sets it up as like they've got this silly show.
Yeah.
And I can see the appeal in this kind of absurdist. That kind of reminds me of like silly absurdist YouTube content of
honestly,
today.
Yeah, watching the start of it, I was like, this could be Rhett and Link.
And so I thought, yeah, it's like, you know, or they'd do a parody of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then it's like there's so little focus on the actual show. Obviously, that's like the basis of the whole concept, but it's still, I don't know. It left it wanting for me. It focused a lot on the relationship between Wayne and Cassandra, and I didn't find that, I don't know, that didn't have much humor in it for me.
What's interesting is that in my memory of this, the Wayne and Cassandra is like a fairly small portion, and that the money coming between them on the show is that like Wayne and Garth like have a split, and that's what the focus of the film is.
That's like nothing.
But it's like nothing. It's like 10 seconds they have a fight, and then Wayne's like, I need to fix this, and he goes, buds, and they're back to being friends. Yeah. That's it. Wild how your memory changes the actual facts.
Yeah. Look, I'm glad to have seen it. It does. It's a funny. I was about to say it's a funny film.
It's a funny film.
Funny, not haha to me. Funny, interesting.
Honestly, if I've got to be really, if I'm navel gazing and I'm really looking at why I just enjoyed that film, a lot of it was nostalgia.
Right.
I think. Like going back, and right at the start when the movie opens up, it's Bohemian Rhapsody, and it's the 4/5 guys in the car, and they're singing and they're rocking out, and it gets to the heavy metal bit and they're doing the hair nods. And
I've seen that clip or that gif before. Yeah,
it's been done. So many things of this movie, because this movie ribbed on a few existing ideas.
It made a Terminator 2 reference that I didn't get until you told me that's what it was.
Honestly, that was the funniest part of the film for me. The Terminator 2 reference, and Beck just staring at it like, what is going on?
No, it really fell flat when I haven't seen Terminator 2.
Oh, yeah. So look, it definitely is a product of its time, because I think there's a whole lot of other like there's a suite of other things that I don't even think I remember the references to. Like, you know, is them driving past a White Castle at the start a reference to Bill and Ted's... Is it Bill and Ted's Adventures at White Castle or something?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Or is that a different... either way, there's like a something at White Castle.
Harold and Kumar?
Harold and Kumar, yeah, that might be it. Either way, like, I feel like there were a lot of nods and references to things. A few of them that we saw and got, and then a few that I realised...
Well,
like,
Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle is from 2004.
Okay, no.
So it can't be a reference.
Can't be that. Yeah, so like that's the kind of thing I was like, I saw those, like, are they just sort of demonstrating the fact that Chicago has a White Castle and a gasworks and a hockey themed donut rink?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on? Because that hockey themed donut rink, real place. The guy who runs it was credited with his name.
Yeah.
So
look, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, like, the ending is also funny, the way they show, like, the 3 different endings. That I thought was okay. That was kind of fun and silly. But, you know, it was a bit too, I don't know. I feel like I'm being super negative, but that's just... It's fine, you know.
You aren't allowed to not enjoy this, especially because you were probably looking forward to a certain kind of comedy, and this was not that.
I was looking forward to laughing, like, kind of at all. And I spent most of the time going, okay. Yeah, I see what you're doing. Okay.
You guys did okay. Yeah.
Very good now. Oh, we're looking at you making a silly face again. You know what it felt like? A little bit like a little kid trying to make you laugh. But, like, they're just being, like... a little bit cringy.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, good job.
Good job, Mike Myers. Yeah. Yay. Ride those undies right up. Yay.
Yeah.
Dance around that room like, oh.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely parts of it. The majority of my enjoyment has certainly come from the nostalgia.
Yeah, no, I think given that I have 0 of that, I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage, right? Like, I'm coming at this with a fully developed frontal cortex, and I don't think that's the designed age to watch this movie.
Yeah, I think you're meant to be riding the high between major hormone groups in a prepubescent or just post-pubescent phase. It would be also great if you were a grungy rocker who appreciates all of the shirtless guys in vests. That's the appeal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, none of the subcultures in this really hit for me. But that's okay. That's okay, you know. I enjoyed your enjoyment. You know, you were laughing, and I enjoyed your mirth by association.
Yeah, look, I'm glad we watched it.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, like, that's the thing. Now I can say I've seen Wayne's World, and I know the references... And that is half the battle for me.
That is half the battle. People will no longer say, oh, you know, in Wayne's World we do this. And you say, you know, I've never seen Wayne's World. And they look at you and go, I can't believe you've never seen Wayne's World. And then because somebody has said Wayne's World twice, everyone nearby goes, Wayne's World, party time. Excellent.
Now I can join in.
Yeah, now
I can be one of the people. And then when I see Terminator 2, I'll get the reference from Wayne's World.
I will explain the reference for you because it's not a spoiler at all.
No, I want to wait.
No, because it might be forever and you'll forget. That actor who is the cop is the actor from Terminator 2.
Okay.
And the actor from Terminator 2 disguises himself at one point. The character in Terminator 2, who is played by that actor, dresses as a motorbike cop.
Got it.
And that's his like shtick for the first part of the movie. So when he walks up as the Terminator cop and shows a picture of young John Connor, whom he is hunting to terminate, to Wayne. That is the whole bit. It's like... Thank
you for explaining that. My life is so enriched.
It's not funny because Terminator is a funny film.
No, I know. He's... I want to know how much before this did Terminator 2 come out? Like how fresh of a reference was that?
If I'm playing guessing games, I reckon Terminator 1 was 89 and Terminator 2 was 91.
Okay, well Terminator 2 was 91, so only the year before.
Yeah. Like they probably grabbed that guy from the Terminator 2 set while they were filming this.
Terminator was 84.
84. Wow, such a big gap between them.
It was a big gap, yeah. I mean, they did Wayne's World 2 the very next year in 93.
Man, that's wild.
So they wanted to get as much juice out of that lemon as they could.
Wait, you haven't seen Terminator 2, but you've seen Terminator, right?
No.
Oh my God. Can we do a double feature tonight?
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
I got things to do. I got to recover from that slight disappointment.
Terminator is not disappointing though.
That's Arnie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I would probably say
I'll be back.
peak Arnie. Yeah.
Let's not get to the chopper because as we all know, that's from Predator, which I've seen.
That's a reference, listener, which you should get if you've also been listening to season 1 of the Better Late Than Never Club.
Yeah, catch up.
Yeah, catch up.
Well, look, yeah, I'm glad to have seen it. It is silliness. I appreciate them as like the characters of Wayne and Garth as these kind of caricatures, right?
I mean, it's absolutely what they are. There's no other word for it. They're not even characters.
Yeah. But I would say that I'm sure there's been better performances from both of those.
Yeah.
It's not my kind of performance or film or comedy, and that's okay. It is for someone. It's just not for me. I don't feel worse having seen it.
Yeah. There
You
are
know
films
what I mean?
out there you can watch and be like, I wish I got that time back.
Yeah. This one I'm like, that was a bit of silliness, but I'm not going to, you know.
Are you ready to rate it? And I'm not going to be offended if you rate it harshly. And dear listener, don't be offended if she rates it harshly.
Yeah, not everything's for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
We're allowed to have our own opinions.
Yeah, no, I'm going to give it, I think, like a 4.7 headbangs out of 10.
I rate it 6.9 Abraham Lincolns out of 10.
6.9, nice.
Nice. I figure that's the number that they would approve of the most.
Yeah, nice.
Any higher, no good. So,
I think this maybe makes this my worst rated movie.
it is. It is
Maybe
your worst rated
just
film.
under Predator.
And look, there were plenty of reasons to not like this film. Like a lot of the humor, especially around the male gaze, shall we say?
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about how it didn't age super great. It wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah.
I would argue it had a bit of it. Just again, the humor is juvenile.
Yeah.
So it's like it's childish, kind of sexist, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
humor.
There's a lot of jokes that lean heavily on sexism. There's a lot of jokes that also lean heavily on sort of like a bit of racism, especially toward Cassandra's character. Like
Not a whole lot,
not like a
though.
lot, but
I honestly
considering
expected more of that once they introduced her, but yeah.
considering how long she's in the film, though, like she's got a pretty major centerpiece as a singer, but she doesn't have a lot of lines otherwise.
Well, this does not pass the Bechdel test. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, let's get right there. What's even going on with
Is there another female character?
the
Oh,
ex-girlfriend
Stacey.
and Dream Girl,
Oh yeah.
titled Dream Girl, and Noah's wife,
Oh yeah.
who is portrayed as an absolute blonde bimbo.
Oh my
I
gosh.
believe is probably
no. Dear Lord.
Yeah.
This is like the anti-Bechdel test
Right.
film.
So, like, when I'm saying that, you know, there's a bit of sexism and racism, I mean, like, women are the butt of basically every joke in the entire thing.
Not really the joke. They're just like the focus, but like only in a physical, you know.
As an objectifying
They're
way.
very objectified.
We've moved on. It's 2024. Is that what year? We're in 2024,
The
and
year of our Lord 2024.
and you know that things like that have not aged well, I fear.
Yeah.
So it's not good. That said, I can heavily relate to the music shop scene, and I think this is why Garth hits for me.
I liked the No Stairway to Heaven sign bit.
No
That's
stairway.
funny. That was good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked
So-
that. And so I want to give a quick shout out to the patron that suggested this. Thank you.
I didn't know this was a patron suggestion.
It was a suggestion by a patron, and I want to apologize for rating it poorly.
Yeah.
But my rating does not reflect the fact that I'd say I'm glad to have seen it.
Yeah.
It feels like a cultural phenomenon, I say.
Yeah. I mean,
loosely.
certainly this burned brightly. It burned brightly.
Yeah.
And in everyone's memories, I think you'll find that they don't remember all of the negative things. They don't remember that it was a series of SNL skits stitched together. What they remember is the funny parts, which were funny to them at the time, and how it made them feel.
Right. And I guess the thing is, like, it's a very unique film.
Right.
And so there's not really anything else that I've seen that's like it. So that maybe that for other people is like points.
Yeah.
Like it's different.
If I'm thinking about the kinds of things I enjoyed about it, it's like those like little social quirks, which were silly, like them headbanging in the car or saying excellent party time, that kind of stuff. Then going on with friends for years and just party time, excellent.
Yeah.
And so Wayne's World sort of gets put on a bit of a pedestal.
Right.
And you associate good times with friends with Wayne's World.
Yeah, that's
So
very fair.
It's very easy to then go, Wayne's World, I associate that with a lot of rad times in cars headbanging to Bohemian Rhapsody with friends, and also saying party time and excellent when we're going
Therefore,
to have an
it must
excellent
be
party
a
time.
fantastic movie.
Therefore, the film must be excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, don't rewatch this film is probably what I'm going to say. It's not worth rewatching.
Hold on to the nostalgic memories you have of it.
Hold on to the nostalgia, yeah.
Yeah, and that should sustain you.
Maybe, if you feel inclined, watch like a couple of shorts of it. And that might scratch the itch. Don't watch the whole
Google
film.
best 30 seconds of Wayne's World.
And that might get you across the line.
Thank you for listening, though, to our thoughts. Let us know what you thought, or if you've seen Wayne's World before, let us know your nostalgic memories of a better time.
And if you want to see if you can recommend a film to us that will rate lower than a 4.9?
4.7? I can't remember.
That you'd rate lower than a 4 point something, throw them our way and make us endure it.
Yeah, send us a message on Instagram, Facebook, leave a comment, join our Patreon if you want extra content.
Yeah.
We've uploaded almost 3 hours of extra content over the last couple of weeks if you need more of us in your lives.
Which, I know I do.
Always. Till next time.
Till next time.
This episode of the Better Late Than Never Club is brought to you by our patrons. Alex, Christopher, Lindy, Matthew, Nathan, and Rachel.
And also our members, Aimless, Andrew, Raina, Salty Pond, and Simon.
Thank you for listening.